We're now a week through the World Cup, and it feels like so much has happened with so many matches for this tournament. Here to break down everything that's gone down, we've got JackChat, who is our soccer analyst for the World Cup. Jack, the first thing I just want to discuss with you here, I feel like it was a bit doom and gloom going into the event of belief like, oh, the U.S. isn't ready to take this on, and everybody was just not excited for the logistics of it. But it seems like everyone's having a blast. You've got Scotland, who's tearing up the bars in Boston by drinking all their beer, seeing the Japanese fans getting excited in like interviews and whatnot. So many cultures in a country that has a lot of diversity. It seems like it's working pretty well, not just in the US, but also in Canada and Mexico as well.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, it does seem like it's always doom and gloom. I know I talked about it last time. Before a ball's kicked, everything seems like it's like meltdown, action stations, nothing's prepared. There's always like limitations. And you know what? For the few days beforehand, it was a little bit squeaky bum time, as we say in football terms. Everything was getting done last minute. There was like tarmac sniffer dogs on but since the tournament's kicked off, the fans look like they're absolutely loving it. Like you say, the Scottish have been taken over. The Mexicans and the South Koreans had their moment at the start of the tournament. It was amazing to see. Love to see how that's going to turn out when they play each other next up. But yeah, like you say, it's been fantastic. And I'm kind of gutted I'm not there, to be honest. It looks like a proper festival going on right now.
Yeah, there's two sides to like, it feels like it'd be really cool to go, but I still do recognize I'm right near MetLife. I'm like 20 minutes away.
Oh, wow.
And it still would probably take me over an hour to get over there because of the craziness of it. I might make it over there at some point because, we might want to try and do a little bit of, coverage and promotion and whatnot, but we'll see if that comes to fruition. To get into things that have been happening on the field, the first question I'm going to ask you, like, which team has been the biggest surprise? Who has performed maybe better than you were expecting?
Better than I was expecting. I mean, the name out the gate is Cape Verde. In their first World Cup, they have done the absolute massive mammoth task of getting a draw against Spain, holding them and not conceding. Incredible performance. Vizinha in goal. I don't know if you've seen the goalkeeper for Cape Verde.
Yeah.
50,000 followers before the match. And after that epic performance, 8 saves against Spain, pepper in the goal. He has like 13 million followers now. He's just exploded. That's how much of a mammoth performance and how many people will watch him worldwide. I think of all performances, that has to be the standout one because no one was expecting that. Everyone was expecting an absolute hammering. But in terms of like the bigger teams, I think, as I say, Morocco were a bit of an outsider for me. I know I said, as AFCON champions, they were looking to be the surprise package, make it as far as they did last time round. And although they drew with Brazil, they controlled the game. They look so much better than Brazil. Brazil underwhelmed, I would say, as expected, in my opinion. But Ancelotti's got a lot of work to do. But Morocco looked amazing. And Bouadi in midfield, the 18-year-old midfielder, came in, first tournament, looked like he'd been playing there for years. It was like watching prime Sergio Busquets in that Barcelona midfield from 14 years ago. He, next £100 million player, I would say, in football, watching him for Morocco. But yeah, Morocco and Cape Verde are definitely my two picks for the surprise packages of the first round.
Do you think that the Cape Verde performance was more so just an unexpected, it's not an upset because it was a tie, but do you think that was just an unexpected performance against the Spain team that overlooked them? Or is there maybe a possibility they could go on a little bit of a run here and continue to shock people?
I mean, the way they held their defense throughout the game, you have to give it props. I think it's easy to say Spain underwhelmed because when Lamine Yamal came on later in the game, they stopped the whole. It was 70 minutes of just passing sideways, and Spain are infamous for their passing and their tiki-taka in the past, but this was possession with no penetration. It was useless passing until Lamine Yamal came on. He's been injured for a while. They're trying to test his minutes, and they started playing a more vertical game. that doesn't take anything away from how they performed. It was a great defensive performance. Vizinha, as I said, 40 years old, putting up a performance like that against a Spain team who are the favourites of the competition is just unheard of. And that's not to say Spain can't go on and perform for the rest of the tournament. It might have been a blip. We saw Argentina in the 2022 World Cup lose against Saudi Arabia in the opening game and then go on to win the competition. So this could be the kick up the backside that the Spain team need. But yeah, I would say they have a chance now of getting out of the group. It's a point, and for a team to have a chance in their first World Cup of getting out the group, that's got to be unheard of. In my books, it is anyway.
I know that we just talked about Spain here, but who do you think has been the most disappointing? Is it Spain or is it somebody else?
I think it's a combination of Spain are definitely the most underwhelming team because, you know, they're favourites for the competition. You'd expect they'd steamroll an opponent like Cape Verde. However, as I say, Brazil, very underwhelming. I mean, they scored, they drew against Morocco, as I said, which is a great result, but they don't look like they've got an identity. Ancelotti is a man who relies a lot on moments, and he's got a lot of moments players in his team. But I think other teams feel like they have a lot of structure and identity in this World Cup, I've begun to notice. And I'm not sure if Ancelotti's going to be able to pull it off with them. So as I say, those were my prediction for the underwhelming team of the tournament in the last video. And unfortunately, in the first round, they seem to be proving my point. Other than that, I would say Portugal looked a little bit underwhelming against Congo, I must admit. I know the spotlight is on Cristiano, but the midfield that I said wins tournaments, they were nowhere to be seen. And again, maybe that's on Roberto Martinez's tactics and having none of them.
Do you think that there is unjustified criticism going towards Ronaldo for the way that they opened up? Do you think it's just because he's the star and he's the biggest name and we're maybe overlooking his age in this equation?
Yeah, I definitely think at 41 years old, he's one of the like 2 or 3 players at the tournament over 40. I think it's unfair to hold him to the same standard, even to a Lionel Messi, who's 3 years younger than him, plays a different position, plays a different style throughout his career. And as much as I say he's tried to evolve his game, as I saw pre-tournament, he's trying the more link-up play, man. Receive the ball, pass it to his midfielders, them get the wingers onto it and arrive in the box to score the goals. But even that he struggled with yesterday. But I would say the criticism has been a little unjust because, you know, he needs the rest of the team to perform around him because he is Cristiano Ronaldo, but as you say, he is 41 years old.
The U.S. Soccer fans are like really excited about the way that they played last Friday against Paraguay. It was not only a win, but like a confident win, the way that they opened against Paraguay. Naturally, soccer is not the main sport in the U.S., as we talked about in the last video. Many of us don't have that nuanced understanding of how the game works and maybe the dynamics of how other countries compare to the U.S. But I think a lot of people are riding high this sense of, hey, maybe this could be like the Winter Olympics when the U.S. hockey team won gold. Maybe we could shock everybody. I'm not all the way there, but do you think that the hype is justified and reality might set in at a certain point? Where do you sit with this U.S. team?
I know I said to you last video, round of 16 was something to aim for. I'm fully behind that now. I am completely fully behind that. What I saw from Pochettino's team in that game was something I haven't seen from a US team before. It's a team who's mostly relied on moments. You know, you've had a star here and there, Donovan and your Clint Dempsey's, who can rely on these, you know, big goals to help you through tournaments. But this looks like a team. Pochettino has given Team US an identity, which sounds incredible. And I don't want the US fans to get too ahead of themselves, but watching this team, I was there going, these guys could compete. Home tournament. The identity lies in Pochettino ball. Pochettino ball has always been about the high press, the energy, the relentless pressing. And I think at club level, this can be hard on the players. You know, it's Poch ball is it's classic for having plenty of injuries, and players don't agree with it because over a 50-game season, you'll find so many of the best players in the world on the bench are injured because they can't keep up with Poch ball. However, in an 8-game tournament, we might have found the perfect formula here for Poch. He's never been in this position before where he's coaching such a small period. And like I say, with the amount of stars on that team, the first performance is something to get behind. I would be very excited if I was from the US.
I think that's enough for US fans to get all riled up here, and you say that, like, hey, this feels different. But there is truth to that. In the past, the times it was almost embarrassing to sit and watch a US men's national team game. There were times where I knew a game was on and I would just say, I'm not watching that. This is not going to end well. We're going to fall short. We're not going to end up making advancing past the group stage. It was always easy to be pessimistic, but I think to your point, it does actually feel like there's an identity now. Instead of just being one of the teams in the tournament, they're feeding into the excitement of being in the US, playing in the US, and the aggressiveness, I think, is also something that seemed really different with the way that they played against Paraguay.
Absolutely. I think with a home crowd, what you want from your team is a bit of aggressiveness, a bit of hunger, a bit of, we're gonna get into them from minute one, and that's what Poch ball is all about. So I think we found a bit of a perfect formula here for not only the fans but for the players as well, because a lot of the US team US are in the top 5 leagues in Europe, so they do play to a high standard of tactics, and so I think it's a match made in heaven personally. And my round of 16 prediction, I think they could even exceed that if they're lucky, depending on who they get in the knockouts.
Right now there's a bit of a race going on between Messi and Mbappe for finishing as not finishing, but having that all-time goals mark, that accomplishment. Messi's currently leading after the performance that he had, but Mbappe is not far behind after he played extremely well in France's first game. Who do you think, it's tough to project after one game, but who do you think is going to finish first in that race after this year's World Cup?
That is an interesting question, because at the rate Kylian Mbappe is going, he will be the all-time World Cup lead goal scorer. Absolutely undeniable. I think this is his 3rd World Cup, and is he on like 13 goals or something ridiculous? He's only a few behind Messi.
I think he's 14. I think it was 14. I'll double check.
Oh my, that's ridiculous. And like you say, Messi has equaled the record, Miroslav Klose's record, which is incredible. It's been a record since I was a kid. Great to see. But it does feel like a Lionel Messi is worthy of that title. He's ticked off everything on the list, and he will only extend that this tournament, I would say. We're going to see new heights here. 16 will be pushed to, we're going to get to a 20 mark, which over 6 tournaments for Lionel Messi, that's not bad. That's not a bad return. But I think, with the type of France team we're seeing, Kylian Mbappe gets, well, from now on, 8 games every World Cup, because their team is so strong. They're pretty much undoubtedly going to reach the final. And even this year, I think the same. After watching that performance, they played so poorly in the first half. Second half, turned it on, looked amazing. In terms of this tournament, God, that's a really hard question you've put to me there. I can't see Argentina going as far as France, only because they both could make the final, to be fair. They're both on either side of the bracket. I would say Lionel Messi has an easier group to get through, but then has harder opponents to face along the way to the final. And so I would say that it's going to get really tight. And I would personally say Kylian Mbappe has a knack for goals. Lionel Messi could help the team, and he does score, like we saw the other day. But he's got Julian Alvarez there. He's got his wingers to help him out. He is the man in the middle. Whereas Kylian Mbappe, we've seen from Deschamps' new formation that he will be the striker, which is unusual for Kylian, and Dembele is going to sit behind him. I think Kylian's going to end up the top goal scorer this tournament. I really do.
Wow.
That's a bold statement. Messi's already up to 16. He's got an easier group. He might even knock on 20, but Kylian is just inevitable.
Yeah, inevitable is a good way of putting that. He's at 14 and Messi's at 16, so it's not like he's he's very far off. Last question I got for you here, Jack, before we close out. Your team that you think after this first week, everybody's only played a game, so it's kind of hard to like really change projections, but maybe from some of these early glimpses, who are you more aggressively backing, or who have you changed your projection for who could win the entire tournament? Right now, France is at plus 420. They have the best odds to win the tournament. Spain is at plus 500. Shockingly, they're still at second. England at plus 600, and then Argentina at plus 800. Has anything changed for you for your projection?
I would say Spain have definitely fallen back in my predictions, like they might have done in the odds as well. I think they were favourites, but France, like I say, are somewhat inevitable in the fact that even when they play bad, they're likely to still get to the final. However, I don't want to toot England's horn, but after yesterday's game, wow, I am thoroughly impressed with Thomas Tuchel's machine that he's got running there. A little bit leaky in defence, but the fact that they can score goals, they were playing total football. It wasn't like I was watching England, which sounds ridiculous. I'm so used to pretty dry performances in World Cups in my lifetime anyway. But that was incredible. They have really exceeded my expectations already. So I am backing them massively. Yeah, unfortunately, so far, France and England are the ones who have impressed the most for me.
We'll see what ends up happening. Folks, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Jack and I are going to be catching up every single week with everything that is going on for the 2026 World Cup. Hit the like button on this video as well, and comment below, who do you think is going to win the World Cup after this first week? We'll catch you guys later.